All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. Council, please stipulate to the return of our jurors after lunch.
State will stipulate, Your Honor.
Defense stipulates, Your Honor.
All right, thank you so much. All right, at this point in time, I would direct the state to call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would call Keenan Fraczek to the stand.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Please enter the witness stand. Please remain standing. And my clerk to my right is going to put you to oath, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Please state your name, spelling your last name, and address for the records.
Keenan Fraczek, 16 Woodcrest Avenue, Keenan Fraczek.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Keenan.
Good afternoon.
Can you just do us a favor, sit close to that microphone. The acoustics in here are pretty bad, so the jury needs to hear what you have to say, okay? Keenan, how old are you?
I am 20 years old.
And do you go to school?
I do.
Where do you go to
Central
school?
Connecticut State University.
And what are you studying?
Nursing.
And are you working for the summer?
I am.
What are you doing?
I'm working part-time at Bass Pro Shops and doing lawn work.
You know why you're here today?
I do.
Why are you here today?
To say my part in what happened leading up to and after the event.
Are you nervous to be here today?
Sure am.
I want to direct your attention to May 14th of 2022. How old were you back then?
16.
And did you go to school?
I did.
Where did you go to school?
St. Joseph High School.
And what year were you?
I was in my sophomore year.
So you were a rising junior?
Yes.
And are you familiar with an individual by the name of Jack Snyder?
I am.
How are you familiar with Jack Snyder?
Schoolmate.
At St. Joe's?
Yes.
Are you familiar with an individual by the name of Tyler Dasilva?
I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
Schoolmate at St. Joe's.
And are you familiar with an individual by the name of Raul Valle?
I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
Schoolmate at St. Joe's.
Does he have a nickname?
He does.
And what is his nickname?
He was called Lido.
And is the defendant, is Raul present in courtroom today?
He is.
And what is he wearing?
Blue suit.
And can you please point him out for the record? Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant in this case?
Court will allow the record to reflect that the witness has identified Mr. Valle. Thank you.
Now, Keenan, I want to direct your attention to May 14th of 2022, specifically Madigan Leifer's house. Can you tell us what was going on at Madigan Leifer's house that night and what time you got there?
There was a party going on. A couple of grades mixed within the St. Joseph school community. We were all hanging out, having a good time, obviously drinking some alcohol. And I believe I got there around, I'd say 9 o'clock.
And were you drinking?
I was.
How much were you drinking?
3 beers.
And when we say beers, what kind of beer? Remember?
Busch Light.
Busch Light? Okay. And how long were you there, well, withdrawn? At some point in time when you were at Madigan Leifer's house, did individuals show up that you were not familiar with? Or are you aware that individuals showed up that you're not familiar
I am aware.
with? Okay. But you didn't see them?
Did not see it.
Around what time would you say, how long were you at Madigan Leifer's house between the time you got there and the time that you became aware that these individuals showed up?
I can't put an exact time on it, but it was around 1 to 2 hours.
Okay. So at some point in time, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you were exactly doing aside from drinking alcohol. What were you doing at the party at the Leifer house?
Socializing with my friends, maybe playing some drinking games like beer pong, something of those sorts.
Do you know whether or not when you were there, whether or not Jack Snyder was at that party?
Jack Snyder was present.
And was Tyler Dasilva there?
He was.
And was the defendant there?
He was.
Now, at some point in time, were you inside the house or outside the house when you were at this party?
Inside for most of the time.
At some point in time, did you exit the house for some reason?
I did.
And why did you exit the house?
My buddy named Ryan, he said he wasn't feeling well, felt uneasy, said he had to vomit. So I took him outside, went around the house into the back, and was with him while he was vomiting.
And when you were doing that, how long would you say you were out back with him for?
I'd say 20 minutes.
And after 20 minutes, did you return to the garage or driveway area of the home?
I did.
And when you did that, what, if anything, was occurring at that moment?
Nothing was occurring at that moment as we were driving, or I'd say walking around the house. We heard some shouting from a car from the driving past the road, and we're trying to figure out what was going on.
And did you, in fact, figure out what was going on?
We were informed.
Okay. And were you informed about a fight that had taken place?
We were informed.
You did not witness that fight?
Did not.
And at some point in time, shortly after that fight, did the party break up?
It did.
And can you please describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the circumstances surrounding the party breaking up?
Can you repeat that?
Well, in other words, you got back, you heard about this fight. How long after did you hear about the fight did the party break up?
Oh, within 20 minutes.
And how did the party break up? Did parents inform you that the party was over? How did that happen?
I don't believe it was the parents. The older sister was telling everybody to disperse and get out of the house. The party was over.
And so when the party was over, what, if anything, were you concerned about at that point in time?
Trying to get home.
And did you have a ride home at that point?
I did not.
And were you hanging out with anybody at the moment, at that moment, who also needed a ride home?
Yes.
And who was that?
Demetrios Arfanis and Will Sinchwald.
And at some point in time, were you able to find a ride home?
Yes.
Now, prior to that, you recall seeing the defendant, Jack Snyder, at the house.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 53. Can you identify the people in State's 53? This person in the red?
Jack Snyder.
And how about this person here with the helmet on?
Raul Valle.
The defendant?
Yes.
Now, at some point in time, you were able to find a ride from Lazy Brook?
I was.
And who offered you a ride?
Jack Snyder.
Okay. And was anybody else offered a ride at that point in time?
Yes, Demetrios Arfanis was. He was planning from the beginning of the night to sleep over at my house after the party. And Will Sinchwald.
And at some point in time, did you get into Jack's car?
Yes.
Show you States 30. You recognize States 30?
That was the vehicle.
That's Jack's car?
Yes.
And when you got into that vehicle, who else got into the vehicle with you?
Jack Snyder was driving his car. Tyler Dasilva, Valle, or Raul Valle, Demetrios, myself, Will Sinchwald, and Mackenzie Traficante.
Now, how do you know all those people?
We all went to school together at St. Joe's.
You were all St. Joe students?
Yes.
Now, when you left Lazy Brook in Jack's car, did you know where you were headed?
We were going to Trumbull High
Why were you going there?
to figure out where we were going to go after, whether it was a different party, hang out at somebody else's house. It was kind of just like a middle grounds almost to figure out where we were going to go next.
And did you, in fact, at some point get to Trumbull High School?
We did.
And when you got there, did you guys discuss what to do next?
Not really. When we got to Trumbull High, we met up with some other females that were at the party, and the whole group of people were split up, and Lito, Jack, and Tyler were talking amongst themselves, and I was talking to a different group of individuals, and so I had my own separate conversation.
So were you close enough where you could hear what the defendant was talking about with Jack and Tyler?
No,
How long would you say you were at Trumbull High School for?
I'd give it 20 minutes.
Okay. And when you were at Trumbull High School, did you have anything to drink between the time you left Lazy Brook and the time you got to Trumbull High School?
No.
Did you have anything to drink when you were at Trumbull High School?
No.
Now, after about 20 minutes, did you all get back into Jack's car?
We did.
And why did you do that?
Because everything was wrapped up and thought we were going home.
You thought you were going home?
Yes.
And did you leave Trumbull High School?
We did.
And when you left Trumbull High School, where were you headed? Did you think you were going home?
I thought we were heading home to my house
At what-
with Demetrios.
At what point in time did you realize you weren't heading home?
So when we got out of Trumbull High, we took a right, and we were supposed to take a right, the next right, back into Trumbull, but we took a left into Shelton, and that's how I knew we were not going to my house.
And what town do you live in?
Trumbull.
So when you took the left to go into Shelton, was there any talk about where you're going? Drop me home, anything like that?
I assumed that we were dropping Mackenzie off because I knew she was from Shelton, but didn't know what part, didn't know where she lived.
At some point in time, did you pull up on a house in Shelton?
We did.
And do you recall what house that was?
The estate of Tyler Rich.
Show your states 9. Is that the house that you guys pulled up to?
Yes.
Show your states 49. Again, aerial view, is that the Tyler Rich house that you pulled up to?
Yes.
Can you tell us in states 49 where exactly you guys pulled up, if you can recall?
I can't exactly recall the road we came in on. I knew we were facing the direction of a cul-de-sac, and we were right in front of the driveway, and drove by, turned around at the cul-de-sac, and then went back towards the driveway.
And at some point in time, prior to arriving at Tyler Rich's house, were you aware of a group chat that was going on between some of your friends and some of the Shelton High School kids?
After the fact, I know about it now. I was not a part of that group chat, and there was no talk about that group chat, so no, I was not informed.
At some point in time when you pulled up to Tyler Rich's house, did you witness anybody exit that house?
When we initially drove by,
Sure.
there were people outside.
And at some point in time, when you stopped in front of the house, did people approach the car?
After we turned around the cul-de-sac, and we got surrounded by people.
And how many people would you say, were outside at any given time?
At least 20.
At least 20? And when they surrounded the car, can you tell us a little bit about how that interaction initially took place?
So initially, we got surrounded, and no, I believe they were on one side of the car, and
What side of the car were they on?
the driver's side. And everything was cordial at first, and then someone from the back shouted something, and then Jack Snyder replied back, and then things started getting out of hand, then the car got surrounded.
And when you say the things got out of hand, what kind of things were happening?
The tensions were escalating.
And when you say tensions, were people arguing?
They were.
At some point in time, did anything happen where, was anything thrown at the car, or did anybody touch the car?
Yes, things were thrown, and the people were on the back of the car, bouncing on the rear bumpers. People were outside the passenger window, the back seat windows, banging on the windows.
And when that happened, what, if anything, happened next with regards to the car?
With regards to the car, things were just getting way too out of hand. I was pretty scared at the moment, and then I don't remember who shouted, but someone said go, and Jack Snyder hit the gas pedal, and we went.
And when you went, where did you go?
We went down the road, about 2-3 houses, but they were pretty spread out.
And in States 49, can you see where you went down the road?
Yes, towards the top of the image.
So somewhere in this area here?
Yes.
If the record can reflect, I'm pointing on the left side of on the right side of the picture towards the top of Laurel Glen. We're just before the intersection of Farmhouse Road and Laurel Glen.
Court will allow the record to reflect that. Thank you.
And the car went up that way. What, if anything, happened when you were up there?
The individuals inside of the car got out, including myself, and some Shelton kids ran up, and they were talking with Lito, Jack, and Tyler Dasilva.
And who, if you can recall, who exactly got out of the car at that moment?
I don't remember.
Did you get out of the car at some point?
I did get out of the car at some point.
Why did you get out of the car?
Really because nothing good was happening there. Kind of walked into a trap and wanted to escape.
And you said people from down the street ran down,
Yes.
and did they speak to any of you guys down the road?
They did not speak to myself, Demetrios, Mackenzie, or Will. We were sitting on the curb away from the car, and they were talking to Tyler, Jack, and Lito.
And when they were talking to Tyler and Jack, what was the tone of the conversation? Not what they said, but what was the tone of the back and forth?
At first, everything was cordial, and then it escalated a little bit.
Was there any arguing going on?
Not really too much shouting. I would say it was pretty cordial at first.
At some point, well, let me ask you this. Did you witness the Shelton kids interacting with the defendant and Tyler and Jack?
Yes.
And did you witness any physical altercation down the road when the kids came down the road? Was there any fighting, physical fighting?
No.
How long would you say the interaction was between your group of friends and the Shelton kids?
I'd give it 5 minutes.
Now, I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 44. Let me play the second video. Yep. Now, have you seen that before?
I have.
You've seen that in my office?
Yes.
Now, do you know whether or not that part of the video happens before you get out of the car or after you get out of the car?
I believe it happened before.
So you're kind of still in the car, a couple people get out, or 3 people get out, walk down the road, you're in the car, and at some point, does Jack turn the car around and come back? How does that happen? Let us know what the
How I got
if
to,
you
got
can
to the
recall,
curb area?
how, what's that?
How I got to the curb area?
Yeah,
Is that
how
what you're
that,
asking?
so based on that, if that happens before you get out of the car, help us understand when you get out of the car in relation to that exhibit.
That video was pretty much a blur. That's one part of the night.
Right.
It was new to me once you showed me that video. Didn't exactly remember or recall exactly how all those events went down. I can't say if I got out of the car before that happened or after that happened. But I know before the individuals went back, I was already out of the car with a couple of my friends who I arrived with sitting on the curb.
So when you say the individuals went back, are you referring to the kids from the Shelton group?
No, I'm referring to Jack, Lito, and Tyler.
Oh, okay. So, well, let me ask you this. At some point, this is a small picture or small video of what happened down the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at some point in time, you get out of the car with Will, Mackenzie, and Dimitri.
Yes.
and you sit on the curb?
Yes.
When you do that, is there an interaction between Tyler, Jack, and the defendant?
Yes.
Can you please explain what that interaction is like?
So the interaction was, first of all, it was agitated. The scene was tense. Lito was searching for a weapon in the car. He said, "Jack, where is your knife? Where the F is your knife?" And he was looking around in the glove box and the center console and did not find anything.
I'm sorry?
I did not see a knife.
How was the defendant reacting prior to looking for the knife?
He was on edge
Why was he on edge?
because he was upset he was upset from what happened to Jack's car.
And what kind of things was he saying to make you feel like he was upset? How was he acting?
It's going pretty insane. I'd say he was using vulgar language, cussing. Jack, look what the F they did to your car.
And after he said, "Look what the F that they did to your car," that's when he asked Jack, "Where's the knife?"
Yes.
How long would you say that was going on for down the street?
That they were searching?
Well, that the defendant was acting in an aggressive manner and cursing and going insane because of what happened to the car, and then looking for the knife.
No more than 30 seconds.
And you indicated that you did not see a knife.
I did not.
Do you know whether or not the defendant ended up finding a knife?
After the fact,
Right, but at the moment,
I
you did-
assume he found a knife, but in the moment, did not see a knife and believed for the rest of the night that he never found a knife because I never saw one.
Now, when you say that the three of them went back down the street, before they go back down the street, was there any talk about going back down the street by the defendant?
Yes.
What was he saying?
I don't remember the exact words they were saying, but there was conversation. I was too far away to hear the exact words, and they got back in and drove down.
Now, not telling us what either Jack or Tyler said, did any of those two individuals try to talk the defendant out of going back down the street?
Tyler did.
Now, at some point in time, you indicate that the car leaves to go down the street.
Yes.
Do you see who gets in Jack's car before going down the street?
Yes.
Who?
Jack was driving, and Lito, and Tyler Dasilva.
And when the car goes down the street, how long would you say the car was down the street for before it returned?
No more than 5 minutes.
And when it was down the street, what if anything did you hear when it was down the street?
So it went down the street, and the four of us were talking amongst ourselves, trying to really figure out what was going on and how we ended up in the situation. And they drove down, and you can kind of hear the tires screech a little bit, and so you know the car is stopping. And you can't see it, but you can hear it. One, because we were far away. Two, because it was dark. Three, there might have been something obstructing our view. You hear a lot of yelling, but it wasn't high-pitched yelling, which came next. It was more of a rowdy yelling, shouting, and then eventually it turned into a very high-pitched scream.
And after about 5 minutes of the yelling and then high-pitched screaming, did you witness the car return?
Yes.
And when the car returned, were you able to witness what Tyler Dasilva looked like?
Yes.
And what did he look like?
He was bleeding a lot, bruised everywhere. I asked him a simple question, and I didn't really get an answer. So he was just about unconscious.
And were you able to witness what the defendant looked like?
Yes.
And how did the defendant appear to you?
Shocked. He had like a shocked look on his face. Didn't look as battered as Tyler Dasilva was, nowhere near. But I wasn't inspecting him.
Now, at some point in time, when you, Will, Dimitri, and Mackenzie were waiting down the road, were you able to make arrangements to get another ride home?
Yes.
How did that come about?
So once we were sitting on the curb, Carolyn, who was Will's girlfriend at the time, was picking him up. So Will was getting his ride home. And by the time the car returned before I saw Tyler and Lito after what happened, Will was already gone. His girlfriend picked him up. So he was gone. It was just me, Demetrios, and Mackenzie. And Mackenzie asked us if we needed a ride and her sister could bring us home.
And did you in fact get into the car with Mackenzie?
We did.
Can you play it? Again, this is Exhibit 44. I want to have you watch real quick. Is that Jack's car taken off?
Yes.
And these individuals in the road getting into the car here, that's you and
Myself, Mackenzie, and Demetrios.
that's at about 11:55 at night?
Sounds about right.
You hear the high-pitched screaming in the background? Did you hear that?
I did not hear it.
So when Jack's car took off, do you know who left in Jack's car with him?
Tyler.
And who got into Mackenzie's sister's car?
So it was myself and Demetrios and Mackenzie. And then I shut the door. And then after, Lito got in.
Lito got in, the defendant?
Yes.
And when he got in, where did he sit in the car? Do you remember?
Rear side or back right,
And where were you seated in the car?
right next to him,
In the middle?
in the middle.
And on the car ride withdrawn. When you guys left Laurel Glen, who was the first to get dropped off?
Myself and Demetrios.
And how long was the ride from Laurel Glen to your house?
Say 8 minutes.
And in that 8-minute ride, did the defendant say anything in the 8-minute ride over?
No.
In that 8-minute ride, were you able to observe whether or not he had any blood on him?
I did not see any.
Did it appear that he had been in a fight?
You can assume so.
But you didn't see, it didn't appear so?
No.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Cross-exam.